At exactly 10:47 p.m., a young woman knocked on the wrong hotel door. What happened next would cost a billionaire his entire empire. The Langston Hotel, 5th floor. Amelia Brooks clutched a $30,000 wedding dress in trembling hands. She checked the room number again. 515. This had to be it. She knocked 3 times. The door opened. A man stood there. Not the bride she expected. He was holding something metallic in his hand, his expression unreadable. "Can I help you?" Those 3 words would change everything. In the next 30 minutes, I'll tell you how this 27-year-old kindergarten teacher from Pennsylvania accidentally walked into a billionaire's private suite, and why 1 year later, he gave up everything to follow her home. But first, if you love stories about unexpected encounters that change lives forever, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more incredible true stories like this one. Now let's go back 18 hours earlier, to the moment when Amelia first arrived at the Langston Hotel, completely unaware that she was about to knock on a door that would shatter both their worlds. 18 hours earlier, morning sunlight painted the Langston Hotel in golden hues. Amelia Brooks stepped out of her well-worn Honda Civic, immediately aware of how out of place it looked among the luxury vehicles. At 27, she was comfortable with her modest life as a kindergarten teacher, but this hotel, this was another universe entirely. She smoothed down her department store dress, the nicest one she owned, and retrieved Rachel's wedding dress from the back seat. Rachel Morrison had been her college roommate, the one person who never made Amelia feel inferior, despite coming from vastly different worlds. While Amelia worked 3 jobs to pay tuition, Rachel's concern was which European vacation to take for spring break. "So you're the only one I trust with my dress, Amelia," Rachel had insisted. "Plus, I need at least one real person at this circus of a wedding." Meanwhile, 5 floors above, Ethan Ford stood at his penthouse window, coffee in hand. At 34, he had everything society deemed successful: a restaurant empire spanning continents, a net worth of $2.3 billion, and a loneliness that no amount of money could fill. The media called him the lonely millionaire, though the title undersold his wealth considerably. His phone buzzed with another interview request, another charity gala invitation, another business proposal. He ignored them all. This weekend was supposed to be his escape, 48 hours of anonymity in his own city. Down in the lobby, Amelia approached the imposing concierge desk. Behind it sat Gladys Monroe, 68 years old, the hotel's self-appointed guardian of standards. Her sharp eyes catalogued every detail of Amelia's appearance. "May I help you?" Gladys's tone suggested she'd rather not. "I need to deliver this to Rachel Morrison's room, the bridal suite. The Morrison Vanderberg wedding," Gladys emphasized the hyphenated names. "5th floor, suite 510. At that moment, a luggage cart collided with a massive floral arrangement, sending white orchids cascading across the marble floor. In the confusion, the flustered desk clerk grabbed the wrong key card from the rack. "Here you go, miss." "5th floor," he said hurriedly, handing Amelia the card without checking the number. Harry Bennett, the 70-year-old doorman, observed the scene with knowing eyes. 40 years at the Langston had taught him to read people like books. This young woman was different, genuine in a place that specialized in artifice. The elevator climbed to the 5th floor. Amelia walked down the plush hallway. 511. 13, 515. She checked her keycard, then the door. This must be it. Inside suite 515, Ethan was reviewing contracts when he heard the knock. He frowned. He'd specifically requested complete privacy. The knock came again. He grabbed an antique letter opener from the desk and approached the door cautiously. Through the peephole, he saw a young woman holding a wedding dress, looking nervous and slightly lost. Definitely not what he expected. He opened the door. Time seemed to pause as they faced each other. Amelia saw a man whose expensive clothes couldn't hide the weariness in his eyes. Ethan saw a woman whose simple appearance couldn't mask something refreshingly real about her presence. "Can I help you?" he asked. "Oh, I'm so sorry." I thought this was Rachel's room, the bridal suite. Amelia glanced at her keycard. They told me 5th floor. This is 515. The bridal suite is probably 510, Ethan said, but something made him hesitate before closing the door. Maybe it was the way she held herself. Apologetic, but not servile. Nervous, but not calculating. Of course. I should have double-checked. She turned to leave, but the garment bag caught on the door handle. As she stumbled, Ethan instinctively reached out to steady her. "Sorry," they said simultaneously, then shared a surprised laugh. "I'm not usually this clumsy," Amelia said. "Just, this place makes me nervous." "The Langston does have that effect," Ethan agreed, surprising himself. "The bridal suite is definitely 510. I can call down to the front desk to confirm, if you'd like." "Oh no, that's okay. I've troubled you enough." Amelia readjusted the dress bag. "Thank you for your help." She turned to leave, but something made him speak up. "Actually, the elevators can be confusing on this floor. There's a service elevator that's faster. I can show you if you'd like." They walked down the hallway together. Ethan pressed the elevator button. "Wedding guest?" and he asked. "Friend of the bride? You..." "Just hiding from the world for a weekend," he said honestly. The elevator seemed to be taking forever. They stood in slightly awkward silence. "These Vanderberg weddings are quite the production," Ethan commented. "I've heard they've taken over the entire 3rd floor for preparations." "It's all a bit overwhelming," Amelia admitted. "I'm more of a backyard barbecue person myself," Ethan laughed. A real laugh. "I know the feeling. Sometimes I think the fancier the party, the less genuine the happiness." The elevator finally arrived. As the doors opened, Amelia hesitated. "Thank you again. You've been very kind." It was nothing. "Good luck with the dress delivery." She stepped into the elevator, then impulsively held the door. "I know. This is strange, but you seem like someone who gets it. The feeling of not belonging here. Would you want to grab a coffee later? In the lobby cafe, maybe. It would be nice to have a normal conversation with someone." Ethan was surprised to find himself saying yes. "Actually, I have decent coffee in my room. The lobby can be a bit pretentious." "Exactly. But I understand if you're not comfortable with that. The lobby works too." Amelia studied him for a moment. 27 years of life had given her good instincts about people. His offer seemed genuine, not predatory. "You know what, your room's fine, but just for 5 minutes. I really do need to get this dress to Rachel." "Fair enough. Let me just..." He held up the letter opener sheepishly. "This probably looks strange. It's just for opening mail, I promise." She laughed. "A letter opener, that's your weapon of choice." "Hey, it's surprisingly sharp. Could definitely inflict a nasty paper cut." As they walked back to his suite, neither noticed the security camera at the end of the hall, or that Gladys Monroe was watching the feed from her office. Inside the suite, Amelia tried not to gawk. Everything screamed money. From the original artwork to the grand piano to the spectacular city view. "It's overwhelming," she said honestly. "It's excessive," Ethan corrected, moving to the coffee station. "But it comes with privacy, which is harder to buy than you'd think." He began preparing the French press. "How do you take it?" "Just a little cream, thanks." She set down the dress bag carefully. "So, hiding from the world, rough, weak, something like that." He focused on the coffee, finding it easier to talk without direct eye contact. "Sometimes you just need to step away from everyone wanting something from you. I can't imagine that kind of pressure. My biggest worry is usually whether I have enough glitter for Friday's art project." Glitter. He glanced at her, noticing the sparkle on her sleeve for the first time. "Kindergarten teacher," she explained. "Occupational hazard. No matter how much I clean up after craft time, I sparkle for days." "That explains the friendship bracelet." Amelia laughed, twisting the colorful band on her wrist. "Gift. From my students. They insist I wear it for good luck." He handed her the coffee. "Sounds like you enjoy your work." "I love it. 5-year-olds see the world so purely. No pretense, no agenda. Just honest reactions to everything." She took a sip. "This is really good. Thanks, Kak. It's about the only thing I can make successfully." He leaned against the counter, maintaining a respectful distance. I envy that, working with people who are genuine. Let me guess, corporate world. Something. Like that, restaurant business actually. Lots of networking, lots of people who see dollar signs instead of faces. They fell into easy conversation about work, the city, the absurdity of $5,000 a night hotel rooms. Before either realized it, 20 minutes had passed. "Oh God, Rachel," Amelia suddenly exclaimed, checking her phone. "She's probably freaking out." Several missed texts confirmed her suspicion. "I really need to go." Of course. Ethan felt oddly disappointed. "Thanks for the conversation. It's been real. Thank you for the coffee. And for not being another pretentious hotel person." She grabbed the dress bag. "Maybe I'll see you around this weekend." "I'd like that," he said, meaning it more than he expected. As Amelia hurried out, she felt strangely lighter. She'd expected this weekend to be an ordeal. Instead, she'd found an unexpected connection with someone who understood what it meant to feel out of place. Neither of them realized that a simple wrong door had just set in motion something that would change both their lives forever. Amelia finally found Rachel in Suite 510, tears streaming down her face. "Where were you? I've been calling and texting." Rachel grabbed the dress bag. "I'm so sorry. I got the wrong room number and then—" Amelia paused. "How do you explain having coffee with a stranger?" "Then what? You disappeared for almost half an hour. I met someone, he helped me find the right floor and we talked for a bit." Rachel's tears momentarily stopped. "You met someone? Here? Who?" "Just a guest. He was different. Not like the usual people at these places." Amelia helped hang the dress. "Anyway, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" For the next hour, Amelia listened as Rachel poured out her fears about the prenup, her future mother-in-law's cutting remarks, and feeling like she was losing herself. "She actually said teaching was a nice hobby until you have children," Rachel sobbed. "Like my career means nothing." Amelia thought about her conversation with the stranger. Ethan, he'd said his name was. His words about genuine connections echoed in her mind. Do you love him, Rachel? Not his family, not the lifestyle. Him, yes. But is love enough? When everything else feels wrong? The right person doesn't make you feel like you need to be someone else. They make you feel like the best version of who you already are. Later that afternoon, after calming Rachel and helping with wedding preparations, Amelia found herself back in the hotel lobby. She was heading to her car to get her shoes for the evening when she spotted a familiar figure by the elevator. "Ethan!" He turned and his face lit up with genuine surprise. "Amelia, how did the dress delivery go?" "Eventually successful. Though I found a crying bride instead of a happy one." His expression grew concerned. "Pre-wedding jitters. More. Like pre-wedding reality check. The Van der Bergs aren't exactly welcoming to outsiders." She paused. "Actually, do you have a few minutes? I could use that normal conversation you mentioned earlier." "Of course. The cafe here is actually quite good, despite the pretentious atmosphere." They found a quiet corner, in the lobby cafe. This time, sitting across from each other in public, the conversation felt different, more intentional. "Can I ask you something?" Amelia stirred her tea. "Earlier you said something about people seeing dollar signs instead of faces. Is that really how it is?" Ethan considered his answer carefully. "In my world, often, yes. Relationships become transactions. Friendships become networking opportunities. After a while, you start to wonder if anyone sees you as just you." "That sounds incredibly lonely." "It is." He met her eyes. "That's why this morning was so refreshing. You didn't want anything from me except genuine conversation." "Well, I did want coffee," she teased, then grew serious. "I know what you mean, though. Different scale, but after my divorce, I found out how many friendships were actually just convenience. When you're no longer part of a couple, you don't fit into certain social circles anymore." Divorced 5 years ago. He decided being married to a kindergarten teacher wasn't ambitious enough. She shrugged. "His loss. My 5-year-olds think I'm amazing." "Smart kids." They talked until Amelia noticed the time. "I should go get ready. The wedding starts at 6. Will you be okay? It sounds like it might be a tough evening." "I'll survive." Rachel needs at least one person in her corner who isn't impressed by money or intimidated by snobbery. As they stood to leave, Ethan made a decision. "Actually, I have something to confess. I'm invited to the wedding too. The Vanderbergs are business associates. I wasn't planning to attend, but now you have a reason to go." Amelia finished, a small smile playing on her lips. Would it be too forward to say yes? No, it would be honest, and that's refreshing. She paused. "Though I should warn you, I clean up okay, but I'm still just a kindergarten teacher in a borrowed dress, and I'm just a guy who can't make anything except coffee. See you tonight. See you tonight." As they parted ways, neither noticed. Gladys Monroe watching from the concierge desk, her lips pursed in disapproval. The next morning dawned crisp and clear. Despite the late night at the wedding, Amelia was up early, a teacher's habit. She'd actually enjoyed herself more than expected, largely due to Ethan's presence. They'd shared several dances, talked. During dinner, and he'd skillfully deflected Mrs. Vanderberg's condescending questions about Amelia's little teaching job. She entered the hotel restaurant for breakfast, still glowing from what felt like the beginning of something special. Then she saw it. The Wall Street Journal lay on a nearby table. Ethan's face stared up at her from the front page. Ford. Empire expands. Billionaire CEO's Asian acquisition worth $500 million. Her coffee cup rattled as she set it down. She grabbed the paper, scanning the article. Ethan Ford. Net worth, $2.3 billion. The lonely millionaire, known for his business acumen and notorious reclusiveness since his divorce. The man she'd invited for coffee, the man she'd danced with, the man who'd made her feel seen and valued. He was Ethan Ford. Admiring the view, Gladys Monroe materialized beside her table. I saw you with Mr. Ford last night, quite cozy on the dance floor." Gladys's smile was sharp. "I must admit, your approach was cleverer than most. The accidental meeting, the normal conversation angle, very well played." Heat flooded Amelia's cheeks. "It wasn't an angle. I didn't know who he was. Of course you didn't. Just like you didn't know that penthouse guests are all listed in our VIP registry. Just like you didn't deliberately charm your way into his room yesterday morning. I knocked on the wrong door, and then invited yourself for coffee. How convenient." Gladys leaned closer. "Let me save you some time, dear. Men like Ethan Ford don't fall for kindergarten teachers. They might enjoy the novelty, the refreshing honesty for a weekend. But Monday always comes." Each word cut deeper than the last. Amelia stood abruptly. "You don't know anything about me. I know you're out of your league. And deep down, so do you." Amelia fled, leaving her breakfast untouched. She made it to the parking garage before the tears came. Not because she believed Gladys, but because part of her wondered if Ethan had been playing a game too. Why hadn't he told her who he was? Meanwhile, Harry Bennett had overheard the entire exchange. The elderly doorman found Ethan in the business center. "Mr. Ford," a word. Ethan looked up from his laptop. "Harry, what can I do for you? That young lady you were with last night, Miss Brooks, Mrs. Monroe just had words with her cruel words." The girl left in tears. Ethan's expression darkened. "What did Gladys say?" Harry recounted the conversation. By the end, Ethan was already packing up his laptop. "Where did Amelia go?" "Parking garage, I believe. Mr. Ford, if I may. I've watched people for 40 years. That young woman is genuine. Don't let Gladys's poison ruin something real." Ethan found Amelia in the garage, sitting in her car, composing herself. He knocked gently on the window. She looked up, tears still visible. For a moment, they just stared at each other through the glass. Then she rolled down the window. "Why?" "Didn't you tell me?" she asked quietly. "Would it have mattered?" "Of course it would have mattered. I wouldn't have let yourself what? Feel like this might be something real." She gripped the steering wheel. I invited a stranger for coffee because you seemed lonely and kind, not because you were worth billions. I know that. That's exactly why I didn't tell you. For one morning, one evening, I got to be just Ethan, not the billionaire, not the CEO, just a guy lucky enough to meet someone who saw him as human. Gladys thinks. Gladys is bitter and judges everyone by their bank balance. She's wrong about you and she's wrong about us. Us. Amelia looked at him directly. Ethan, we live in completely different worlds. You have private jets. I clip coupons. You run an empire. I teach 5-year-olds to tie their shoes. And yet you're the first person in years who's made me want to be better than my bank account. He leaned against her car. I should have told you. I was selfish. I wanted to keep being just Ethan a little longer. They sat in silence. For a moment, I have to go home today, Amelia finally said. I have a classroom to prepare for tomorrow. I know, but maybe we could stay in touch. I'd like to know how your finger-painting projects turn out. Despite everything, she smiled. A billionaire interested in kindergarten art. A man interested in the woman who reminded him that genuine connections still exist. She studied. His face looking for any sign of deception, any hint of the games rich men played. For all she saw was vulnerability and hope. Okay, we can stay in touch, but Ethan, yes, if we do this, whatever this is, I need you to be just Ethan, not the billionaire who can buy his way through life. Just the guy who makes decent coffee and terrible jokes. That's the only version of me worth knowing anyway. As she drove away, Amelia wondered what she was getting herself into. Behind her, Ethan stood in the parking garage, already planning his next trip to Pennsylvania. 3 weeks later, Ethan stood in the conference room of his Manhattan office facing a wall of expectant faces. This was the moment he'd worked toward for 2 years, the Pan-Asian expansion that would double his empire's reach. Gentlemen, his CFO announced, once Mr. Ford signs, we'll be the largest restaurant conglomerate in the Northern Hemisphere. Ethan picked up the Mont Blanc pen, its weight familiar in his hand. Around him, lawyers and executives leaned forward eagerly, but all he could think about was Amelia's text from that morning. Timmy asked if my friend the coffee man was visiting soon. Apparently, you promised to show him how to make perfect. Paper airplanes. No pressure, but 5-year-olds have long memories. They'd been texting daily, calling every few nights. She'd sent him photos of her classroom, videos of her students' chaotic but joyful art projects. He'd shared his struggles with board meetings, his frustration with shallow business relationships. Mr. Ford, the lawyer prompted. The signature line. Ethan stared at the contract. This deal would cement his legacy, but it would also mean months in Asia, endless meetings, more time as Ethan Ford the billionaire instead of just Ethan. His phone buzzed. Another text from Amelia. Also, Rachel left her husband. She's staying with me. Says hi and thanks for dancing with her at the wedding when everyone else was gossiping. You're good people, coffee man. Good people. When was the last time someone had called him that without wanting something? Ethan set down the pen. I need to postpone. The room erupted. His CFO went pale. Sir, the Koreans are standing by. The Japanese investors are literally in the air right now. Then, they'll have to turn around. Ethan stood. I have somewhere else to be. Mr. Ford, this is highly irregular. You know what's irregular? Realizing at 34 that I've spent a decade building an empire but forgot to build a life. He loosened his tie. Handle the preliminaries. I'll review everything when I get back. Get back from where to Pennsylvania? 4 hours later, Ethan stood outside Sunshine Elementary School, feeling more nervous than he had before any billion-dollar negotiation. He'd changed out of his suit into jeans and a sweater, carrying a box of art supplies and a bag of coffee beans. The final bell rang. Children poured out, and then he saw her. Amelia emerged, surrounded by 5-year-olds, her hair in a messy bun, paint on her sleeve, looking absolutely beautiful. She saw him and stopped mid-sentence. Ethan, I brought supplies for paper airplane lessons and coffee bean, real ones, not the instant stuff you keep in your classroom. The children stared at him curiously. One small boy tugged on Amelia's skirt. Miss Brooks, is that your coffee man? Amelia's smile could have powered the city. Yes, Timmy, that's my coffee man. Later, after an hour of controlled chaos teaching kindergarteners aerodynamics, which mostly involved lots of crashed paper, airplanes and giggles, they sat in her empty classroom. You postponed $1 billion deal to teach paper airplanes. 2 billion, actually. He watched her organize crayons, finding her methodical movements soothing. My board thinks I've lost my mind. Have you? Maybe. Or maybe I finally found it. He reached for her hand. I've been thinking about what you said, about being just Ethan. I want to try what? Being human again. Building something that matters beyond stock prices and profit margins. He squeezed her hand. Building something with... You... Amelia's eyes filled with tears. Ethan, I'm still just a kindergarten teacher. I still live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I still the woman who invited a stranger for coffee because he looked lonely. Still the person who sees me, not my net worth. He moved closer. I'm not asking you to change, and I'm asking if you'll let me... Let you what? Love you. As just Ethan, the guy who makes decent coffee and terrible jokes and apparently can't fold paper airplanes to save his life. She laughed through her tears. The kids loved you. But do you? Instead of answering with words, she kissed him. In that cluttered kindergarten classroom, surrounded by finger paintings and alphabet posters, a billionaire found something money couldn't buy. When they finally pulled apart, Amelia whispered, "This is crazy. We've known each other 3 weeks, 2 days and about 16 hours. But who's counting? Your board will hate me. High society will mock you. The media will say I'm the luckiest man alive, and they'll be right." Outside, Harry Bennett sat in a rental car, having driven down to check on them. He smiled, remembering his Eleanor. Sometimes love didn't check bank accounts. Sometimes it just knocked on the wrong door at the right time. 1 year later, the small cafe in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, hummed with afternoon activity. Second Chances read the hand-painted sign, decorated with colorful handprints from Amelia's kindergarten class. Ethan stood behind the counter, wearing an apron that said "World's Okayest Barista," a Valentine's gift from Amelia. He was serving Mrs. Patterson, one of their regulars. The soup today is tomato basil. And yes, Claire made her famous chocolate chip cookies. Claire was one of 3 employees, all formerly homeless individuals they'd helped get back on their feet. The cafe had become more than a business. It was a community hub where everyone was welcome, regardless of their bank balance. The bell chimed and Rachel burst in, glowing with excitement. "I got it. I got the job." She waved a letter. "Riverside Elementary wants me." Amelia, who'd been refilling napkin dispensers, squealed and hugged her friend. "I knew you would. We'll be working just 10 minutes apart." Rachel had lived with Amelia for 3 months after leaving her husband, slowly rebuilding her confidence and remembering why she'd become a teacher in the first place. The door opened again, and Harry Bennett entered, now a weekly visitor who made the drive from New York. "Table for 1, Ethan asked with a grin. "Make it 2. I brought company." To everyone's surprise, Gladys Monroe walked in, looking uncomfortable. "In the cozy space, Mrs. Monroe," Amelia said carefully. "This is unexpected." Gladys clutched her designer purse. "I was in Philadelphia for an estate sale. Harry suggested I visit." She looked around. "It's different from what I imagined." "Different how?" Ethan asked, genuinely curious. "Warmer. More real?" She struggled with the words. "I owe you both an apology. I spent my career believing worth meant wealth. When you walked away from everything, Mr. Ford, I thought you were insane. And now I see what you built instead." She gestured around the cafe. "The community programs, the scholarship, fund for local students, the way everyone here seems genuinely happy. It's remarkable." Amelia placed a cup of coffee in front of her. "We all have our walls, Mrs. Monroe. Sometimes it takes courage to knock them down." Gladys nodded. "Slowly. I grew up poor in the Bronx, spent 50 years trying to forget that. Maybe that's why I was so cruel to anyone who reminded me of where I came from." "We all have our stories," Harry said gently. "The brave ones learn to own them." As the afternoon wore on, the cafe filled with its usual mix. Teachers from Amelia's school, local business owners, kids from the after-school program they'd started. Even a few of Ethan's former business associates had become regulars, drawn by the authentic atmosphere and excellent coffee. Near closing time, Ethan found Amelia on the small patio out back, watching the sunset. "Good day," he asked, wrapping his arms around her. "The best, Did you see Rachel's face? And she's going to be an amazing teacher. She learned from the best." He kissed the top of her head. "Speaking of which, I had a call from Marcus today. Oh." The board finally approved the new initiative. 30% of Ford Enterprises' profits will go to education and community development programs. Amelia turned in his arms. "Ethan, that's wonderful. It was your idea. You showed me there's more than one way to measure success." "We showed each other," she corrected. "I was stuck in my safe little world too, afraid to dream bigger." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn orange and pink. "Any regrets?" she asked. "Just one." Her heart skipped. "What?" "That I didn't knock on the wrong door sooner." She laughed, standing on tiptoes to kiss him. "It wasn't the wrong door, remember? It was exactly the right one." Inside, Harry was regaling customers with stories while Claire and Rachel cleaned tables. Gladys sat in a corner, nursing her third cup of coffee and looking more relaxed than anyone had ever seen her. On the wall, a framed newspaper clipping read, "A billionaire trades empire for love and community cafe." But the real story wasn't in the headlines. It was in the laughter, the connections, the second chances being given and received every day. The Langston Hotel still gleamed in Manhattan, and somewhere in its halls, a new concierge was learning that true worth couldn't be measured in dollars. And in a small Pennsylvania town, two people who'd found each other through a cosmic mistake were living proof that sometimes the best journeys begin with a single wrong turn, or perhaps, as Harry liked to say while pouring coffee for anyone who'd listen, it was never the wrong door at all. It was just love finding its way home. Wow, what an incredible journey we just shared together. If this story gave you goosebumps, made you smile, or restored your faith in love, please smash that like button right now. Your support means the world to us. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late for true love. And hey, if you want more heartwarming stories that'll make your day brighter, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. We upload new stories every week that'll touch your soul. Remember, love often finds us when we least expect it. Until next time, keep believing in magic.